some of such initiatives and opportunities regarding wood mobilization in an innovative technologies in our forest value chain. This should give you a good picture and a whole overview about Europe and projects in Europe. I hope you will find good discussions, and also after this meeting, please keep on in touch with each other and especially the experts and my team regarding further input and discussion. So I will hand over you to my colleague, Mr. Oberwimmer here in this room, and wish you a nice evening and some good information and discussions.
So thank you, Christian, for your kind welcome words. So hello from my side. I'm Roland. I'm also working for the Wood Cluster Styria, and I will guide you through this afternoon. But before we start with the presentations, I would like to say a few words to this project Rosewood 4.0, so that you get some idea about the frame of this session. So the project Rosewood aims to push forward digital solutions, respectively the uptake of those digital solutions in the context of forest owner mobilization and wood supply. And it's a European project, but we have national or even regional forest situations. So for this purpose, we have split our project in so-called territorial working groups. We call them hubs, but consider them as working groups. And today, this event is organized by the Central West Working Group, where we are the leader of the working group. In addition, we have working groups for Southwest Europe, Southeast, Central East, and Nordic group we have. And all those working groups, they have their own activities, their own events, according to the needs of their stakeholders. So what are we doing in those working groups and in Rosewood, actually? So basically, we are searching, we are screening, and we are sharing existing best practices, innovations, which tackle actually the needs of our sector, of the forest sector, and our stakeholders. And in this search for digital state-of-the-art solutions, we are, of course, supported by these other working groups to identify fitting solutions that we then can share and further transfer into our own network, local network. So the project started in 2020, and I have to admit that due to this COVID-19 situation, which is still ongoing and quite messy in Europe, we are forced, or we have to shift all our activities completely into the World Wide Web, as I'm a bit pessimistic at the moment that we will be able to organize study trips during this year. So as such, this is our first large online session, but there are more to follow in 2021. So that's for the project Rosewood 4.0. For the workshop itself, this live session will be recorded, but we are allowed only to share and publish those parts of the recording where we have the consent of the speaker. And the same is true when it comes to sharing the presentations. Here we also depend on the final consent of the speaker. So we'll share most a part of the recording and the presentations, but not all of them. For the agenda, let's share it. Validation workshop share. So, okay. I hope you see this agenda. I just want to mention here that we have grouped the presentations in blocks of 2 and 3 presentations, and after each of those blocks, we will have a question and answer session. Now, this is very important for you as audience, that if you have any question, you can ask this question through the chat button, the chat function actually. And you find this chat, I'm not sure if it's at the bottom or on the top of the screen, the screen on the bottom. In the middle, it's kind of a small speech bubble. So if you click on that, and I advise you to do it now, then on the right side of this Zoom window, this chat, the chat box opens, and there you can please put in your question immediately when something you want to ask. We will collect all those questions, and at the end of each of those presentation blocks, I will forward the questions to the speakers. So in your question, please be precise and also indicate to whom it concerns the question. Well, the time slot for this question answers is quite short. So if we have too many questions so we cannot answer every question immediately, then we will ask the speakers to provide answers in a written form, and we will share this information with you after the session by email. Okay, then one message to the speakers. Please, only those speakers that are active, please turn on the camera, and all others. And if you have finished your presentation, please turn it off again. So we have only one visual image of the current speaker. And well, I hope the chat button is working for everyone and everything is clear and there are no technical problems right now and during the session. Then I would say, let's dive into the presentations. And it's actually a pleasure to announce the first speaker. It's Mr. Kann from Trimetrics, an Irish-based company. And Enda will present his platform solution called Forest HQ, which allows forest owners or enterprises to view and manage their forest properties in an unprecedented way. So Enda, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, I stop sharing. Yes, don't worry. And wait, okay. Okay, and I leave the picture and the floor. Thank you.
Roland, can you just confirm how long I should present for? Just
10 minutes, if possible.
Perfect, yeah, thank you very much.
You.
Greetings from Ireland, everybody. I'm a forester, Enda Kann is my name. Trimetrics began 15 years ago. Actually, our first customer was in Austria with OBF and Bundesforst. We won a Schweighofer Prize back in 2005, and that began the last 15 years, an exciting journey that has brought me all over the world, basically. Over those 15 years, we've worked in many, many countries. It began as a simple vision. The image you see behind my back is a 3D laser scan. And our initial vision for Trimetrics was to create a new and better way to measure trees. And with life and evolution and learning, we realized we needed to create other problems, solve other problems in the forestry world. So we had to go back a step and create a mapping system to improve the mapping systems that were out there. And then we realized we needed better systems for comparing what we predicted was in the forest versus what actually was in the forest. So over the years, we have managed to create this platform called Forest HQ. So there are three modules to Forest HQ: manage, measure, and harvest. So we have a management system, an online management system, a measurement system to make it easier for you to measure your forest. And then the final piece of the pie is the harvest solution to monitor the operations in the forest. And we have targeted this system at forest owners around the world. They've been our main users. And today, I'm delighted we have some announcements to make for Trimetrics. We've won some new contracts, some new partnerships. And today I'm also announcing that we have an exciting new product as well to announce to the forestry world. And really this is about transformation and disruption. And it goes right back 15 years ago. Why we created Trimetrics was because the problem of poor measurement, poor data about what was in the forest. And ultimately, we struggled as foresters and as forest owners to predict what was the value of the forest, what money was there. And unfortunately, all over the world, we've seen this in the 35 countries I've worked in over the last 15 years, that in most cases, we only know what the value of the forest is after we cut the trees. So our simple vision for Treemetrics was, can we not try and predict the value before you cut? So help the forest owner to know the value before harvesting. And that's difficult in forestry with all the variation and the difficulty of the crop. It means that the error is quite high, sometimes very typically plus or minus 20% of error, even greater in some cases, which leads to high risk and uncertainty. And forest owners, let's be honest, there are an estimated 16 million forest owners in Europe and a further 24 million owners in America, for example. And really, they don't have the knowledge. And the reality is most forest owners are price takers. And we've seen this everywhere. The middlemen are making huge profits on the back of that lack of knowledge. And here's just one example of a case study that we recently were involved in, where a forest owner had a mature forest, 60 acres ready for harvest. And the first forester in to value the forest made an offer to the owner for 170,000 euros. The second offer that came in was for 500,000 euros for the land and the trees. Treemetrics, we valued the system with the help of the owner. We valued the forest at 930,000 euros. And as a result of that knowledge and that valuation, the forest owner began to harvest the trees themselves. They hired the contractors, they did the transaction with the sawmill, and they sold direct. And yeah, it's a pretty powerful case study, a crazy case study. And that's just one extreme example of what's happening in the real world of forestry. And really what we have to do is we have to now use modern technology to break down those knowledge barriers and enable the forest owners to know that value before they cut the tree, and be a price maker as opposed to a price taker, and bring some honesty and some transparency into the forestry world. Again, back 15 years ago, this was me in the forest with this crazy vision to improve the measurement system. And that laser scanner there, it was a crazy idea. It was 85,000 euros of a piece of metal to try and better measure the trees. And from that, we were scanning and predicting the log products. It was beautiful data, and it was very precise data, but it was very disruptive. Not many people in the middlemen did not like this system. The sawmillers actually in many cases did not like this system. The pulp mills did not like this system. Really, the owners, they were the ones that were going to benefit. And let's be honest, it's difficult to reach all those owners. There's so many millions of them, and they were not organized. But we're excited to announce today, because with modern technology over these 15 years, as you can see, the laser scanners, this is a German laser scanner, Faro, came out in 2012 with a super device. It was 35,000 euros. Then a Swiss-based company like Geosystems, they came out with this scanner, which was a beautiful scanner, which is almost 25,000 euros. But in the past few months, a massive innovation, this 3D scanning technology was made available on the iPhone. And we were super excited. Treemetrics were crazy excited about this new technology. It meant that there was a 3D scanner now on your phone. And we reached out across the world to try and find some partners to help us to bring this technology into our platform. And today we're announcing that we have a partnership now with Arboreal Forest. They're a Swedish-based company that has an iPhone app. It's an iPhone application only, but it's leveraging the LiDAR system on the iPhone. And what this is now allowing us to do is that we can simply walk into a forest with the Arboreal app, collect your measurements, and those measurements go straight to the Treemetrics cloud, where we do the merchandising, as I showed you a few minutes ago. We assign economic value to each log product that's in the forest. We link it to a satellite map, and we give you a total value of your crop, be it for log products or for carbon. So this is a huge piece of innovation. We want to enable the millions of owners across the world to know the value of your trees before you sell them. Cut out the middleman. Get your logs sold direct with the mills. Know what you're selling to the mills. Don't wait until you have the trees cut before you find out what the check is going to be in the post. Find out in advance. Use this modern technology, and we've developed 5 simple steps. Step 1, map your forest. Step 2, go in with the simple app, collect your data with your phone. It's like taking pictures of your trees at diameter at breast height. You measure the height of the trees, you measure the number of trees per hectare, you upload that data, it goes automatically into our system. Step 3 happens automatically. It assigns a value to your trees and to your logs. Next step, you try and plan what to do with that data, with your forest. And the final step, which we're announcing, is we're creating a marketplace, helping you to sell your trees, help you to work with the forester, the forestry consultant, the mill in your region to sell your trees more optimally, get a fairer price, a more transparent price. Verify your carbon with your own phone and your satellite mapping system. And the final piece of the jigsaw is the harvester data. Here's a screenshot of the data coming from the harvesting machine, coming live into Trimetrics. So what we do is we compare every time we measure a forest. We try to get the data from the harvesting machine to compare what was predicted versus what's actually there. So was your value correct? How far were you out? Why were you out? Did you put the plots in the wrong place? Can you improve? But yeah, get that data from the forest harvesting machine and upload it and learn from your data collections. Just to summarize, we have this global opportunity with these millions of owners. We would love if you would spread the word today in the Rosewood network. Spread the word that this is now possible. I'd like to also briefly mention that this week, we also announced a contract with the European Space Agency, Trimetrics. We've announced with these amazing partners that we're going to help to develop a forest certification platform called SAP4Cert, working with PEFC Global, the Sustainable Biomass Program, F&W Forestry, which manages 1.6 million acres across America, and Till Forestry, the largest forest manager in the UK. These are our partners in the SAP4Cert project, which you'll see online. Just to summarize, here are my contact details. And in respect to the other speakers, I'd like to finish my presentation on time. And there are my contact details if you need any more information. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Enda, for this very interesting insight, what is possible with a smartphone nowadays. Yeah. So I would like to remind the audience, so if you have questions, please use the chat function and put your question. I will, as I said, I will summarize the question and put forward to the speakers after this, the block of presentations. So let's continue to the next one. It's called Kollegenschutz, which is a very interesting application from Switzerland, which improves forest worker safety by actually automatically taking into account the position of the worker, the position of machines, and allows direct communication between all those, let's say, entities on a logging site. The Swiss colleague should be online, Moritz. And Moritz promised that he has a very unusual setting for the presentation. So let's see what he has what the meaning of a unusual setting is. Okay, hi Moritz.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me here. I'm Moritz Dreher from the Bern University of Applied Sciences, and normally I'm working in Bern in the main office like everyone. Usually now it would be in home office, but today it's more like open office. So this shows also what is possible with our smartphones today. So I am really outside skiing in the Aletsch Arena, which is just around the corner of the Aletsch Glacier, which is the biggest glacier, I think, of the Alps even. And I will present you today the best practice and innovation, which is called Co-worker Safety 4.0, which the BFH is working on at the moment. And in German, it will be Kollegenschutz 4.0. So this is just more an innovation than a best practice. So it's still under development at the moment. It's about a safety network that is built up by using Bluetooth low energy. So even when you don't have mobile phone connection or GSM, you can use the Bluetooth low energy and build up your own network by this method. Till now, you can use several nodes. So you can really, a node can be, for example, on a smartphone. It can be incorporated in a machine, so in a harvester, forwarder, and so on. And even the movements can be derived and will be calculated. And by this, there will be derived risk zones. And then when a forester is coming in the risk zone of a harvester, they will get an automatic warning on their smartphone, for example. Additionally, it uses u-blox M8N GPS models, so to really have the location precisely where you are, and you can have the visualization even on screen, so on a smartphone, on a tablet, and so on. The next step, which we'll have to focus on, is that we can really connect it together with the cloud. And so even when normal people with a normal mobile phone are passing by and entering the risk zone, they would get tracked by the safety network and give alarms to the passengers or also to the foresters which are working on site. So for the moment, the main point is that also moving objects can be incorporated, and the driving is really also derived when giving output of risk zones. Under first condition, because there are a lot of obstacles, at least there is able to go up to 150 meters for steady connection, but under good conditions can be 300 or even 700 meters. The safety network can have up to 9 slave nodes at the moment, and the battery is it makes it possible to use the devices 50 hours. The GPS accuracy is about 2.5 meters, also in the forest. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Weather yesterday was absolutely perfect. Today, unfortunately, there is much dust from the Sahara, even up here, which you can clearly see also coming down on the snow. But I hope I could give you a good picture that it's even possible to work outside when skiing, and really I am actually on the slope and making some movements afterwards. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Moritz. That was something. I wish I could join you in Switzerland. Please wait a bit with skiing until after the question and answers round. We have a few questions to you already. So thank you. So the next one is a very interesting application, which tackles actually one of our most pressing issue in the forestry, and this is the aging of workforce, the issue of unfavorable working conditions, and the declining job attractiveness. And HiVision offers a groundbreaking and I would say comfortable approach to operate forest machines. And let's see if this marks a cornerstone to mitigate the risk that we run out of labor in the forest. So Gunnar, please, the stage is yours. Give us hope that we can improve the working conditions in this in the outside of a forest.
Yes, good afternoon, and I'm sorry to say that I do not have the possibility to invite you to that exotic destinations that Moritz just did. This is from my home office in the middle part of Sweden. My name is Gunnar Hellerström and I'm a project manager at the Paper Province. And I am as such not connected to Hivision as a company, the Hiab company, but I am a part of the Modern Hub that has picked Hivision as a best practice. I'm very glad that you are keen to know more about Hivision. Of course, this is an excellent example of digitalization of forestry, and Hivision have an excellent movie or a small film that I think will explain it all. So just roll the movie, Marsha, please.
I was born to work in the forest, more or less. When I was a kid, my father used to take me with him in his truck. I loved it from the start. I knew I'd be working in the forest myself someday. Well, here I am with my own truck and crane. I still enjoy the peace and quiet of the forest. I can't think of any other place to live and work. But many things have changed in forestry since my dad was active. I remember how he used to run around like crazy, fixing things before even getting started. It's a whole lot different today. We've got technology on our side. Take Hivision, for example. It's much more comfortable. Now we don't even have to leave the truck cabin to work with the crane. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and it works fine. It's amazing how fast you can learn to work with new technology. First time I saw the goggles, I thought, this is going to feel awkward. But when I tried them on, it felt almost exactly like real life. You'd expect it to be difficult at first, but the goggles were very intuitive. In a few hours, I was stacking logs like never before. Only now I'm doing it from the truck cabin instead of the crane cabin. I don't even think about it anymore. I just put on the goggles and start to work. I think the reason it's so easy is because you work like you've always done. You forget you're looking into video glasses. You get perfect peripheral vision, your whole field of view is filled, and you can turn your head and look far to the sides. Do I miss working from the crane cabin? No, I like staying inside the truck. It's a perfect way to work with a crane. And the forest is still there to enjoy after work.
Thank you very much. And well, it's kind of self-explanatory when you have watched the film, really. And I think the film also emphasizes the two major bullets here. And that is, of course, safety. Climbing up to the crane and working from the crane is a large hazard for getting caught between crane and log, and of course slipping and falling. And also this person in the movie is a great example for this new technology being able to address the problem with attracting younger workforce. We have another kind of persons being interested in just driving the trucks. The next development step for Hivision is, of course, not being driving the crane from the truck at all. You can the person driving cranes maybe for 10 trucks and sitting in the comfort of and safety of their home, and operating cranes for several trucks, and being an absolute expert on just driving and loading the truck instead of driving the truck. But that has to do with 4 and 5G coverage of the terrain, of course, and different kinds of communications issues. So that is Hivision, and I'm be glad to standing by for all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Gunnar. So we have reached the end of our first presentation series, and now we are continuing with this question and answers, and there are quite a lot of questions incoming. And I would start with Enda. And let's see, okay. Yeah, there was a question. I start with the question on the iPhone, actually. So there was a question about the accuracy of the iPhone measurement. Yes, so what is the accuracy that can be reached with such a system? For example, the diameter of trees, what is the deviation? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Roland. So the iPhone, you can actually get it yourself. This technology existed, not the laser, but the measurement ability for the iPhone existed from iPhone 6S upwards. So if you just get your iPhone yourself at home, there's a measurement app on it. You take out a bit of a table or a ruler, you can actually test the accuracy of the phone to measure. With regards to the Arboreal app, we have done extensive tests. The system is working for the last 2 years with the guys in Sweden, and they're getting within a centimeter of the diameter all the time on the tree. Okay, so the accuracy is within a centimeter, right down to millimeters in some cases, depending on the ovality and the roundness of the tree, basically. But yeah, it's a quite precise diameter measurement.
Okay, and I would join the second question. That was about the calibration of harvester data and your prediction of the quality of the stem. Yeah. So how do you match the harvesting data with your LiDAR inventory data? One is harvester, and then there's also the question regarding motor manual fellings, if this is also an issue.
Yeah, so what we've done over the last 6 years with the help of the European Space Agency is we're collecting the harvester data from the harvesting machine, and we have a GPS tracker tracking the location of each tree that's cut. And with the iPhone, what we're doing, every time the forest owner takes a sample plot, we're getting the GPS position of that sample plot and all the stems in the plot. And we predict the volume per hectare and the average tree size across the entire stand. So then when the harvesting machine moves in and cuts across those areas, we're comparing the trees per hectare from the harvesting machine versus the trees per hectare from the iPhone, and the measurements from the iPhone compared with the measurements from the harvesting machine. And this is fantastic data that was always available. The only difference now is we're calculating the area cut by the machine using the GPS technology on the machine. And this is a great way to learn, can you improve? But I can promise you that the real message I want to get out here today is that this is so simple to use, that the forest owners can now go out and collect this data themselves, not just the forester, not just the forest buyer, but the actual forest owner themselves, and take control themselves.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I would now ask, put the question to Moritz, actually. Let's see if Moritz is there.
Yes, sure.
Yes, you're there. Hello, Moritz. So we have this, the question about, sorry, if your application can be applied also to steep slopes, but I guess.
Yes, certainly. In Switzerland, we have a lot of steep terrain and a lot of slopes and difficult conditions in the mountains. And so, yes, this is absolutely possible.
Okay, and the second question was about the range of this Bluetooth in the forest. So the question is, can you really always reach 150-meter range? So can you guarantee this 150-meter range?
Maybe Martin Cisak can tell more about it, but as I know, all the tests showed that it's really under even hardest conditions, the 150 meters are always possible. Under good condition, it's possible to have this network range up to 700 meters.
Okay. Thank you.
Martin Tisak writes just that in the field tests, we always reached even the 700 meters. So it's even possible to have a better reach than this 150. But this is sort of guaranteed then.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, thank you. There are many, many more questions, I have to admit. Thank you for that. We will, as I promised, we will answer those questions I did not put forward to the speakers by written, and I would kindly ask the speakers to take the time to answer all those questions. So Gunnar, there is also a question to you, and this is about the price of the system. If you are able to disclose this information.
Yeah, I really hope I will get a kickback from Haivision now when I'm starting to sell the system here. No, I'm sorry, I do not know that, and that is because there are many factors who contributes into this, of course. The size of the crane and the standard of the car and so forth. But I do suggest that you get in contact with Hiab, Haivision directly if you are interested in the price. Thanks.
Okay. I would have another question for you. So it's about a retrofitting of existing forest machinery. Is this possible?
Yes, it is possible, but is it viable due to cost? That is the question. I think most of the trucks that do implement this technology does that on a new truck and a new crane.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as mentioned, there are a couple of more questions, but I would really propose to continue with the presentations and to give you the answers in written form later on, to stick to the timetable. Okay, but now we are going to the south of Austria, namely to Slovenia. And it's really a pleasure to announce a best practice called Moj gozdar, and solution actually that helps forest owners to find professional forest service providers, but also to give feedback on the satisfaction with this forest service provider. And Mateusz from Slovenian Forest Institute, may I ask you to give your presentation.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you for a presentation. Once again, I'm Mateusz Triplat. I'm employed at Slovenian Forestry Institute, and I will present a system for quality assessment of forestry contractors. So as a starting point, in Slovenia, the forestry service market is dynamic. It can be expected that the service market in the sphere of forestry work will be additionally restructured after the changes taking place in the state-owned forest management arrangements, and the problems with the forest contractors arise during the increased demand for services upon major natural disturbances, when forest owners have very limited information on the forest service providers in the terms of their quality and reliability. Particularly, small forest owners who require forest services only rarely, have no experiences in forest management. Those opt for a certain forestry contractor in the grounds of their intuition or recommendation by district forester, neighbor, or a friend. Through the research project entitled the System for Quality Assessment of Forestry Contractors, we strive to develop the tools that would contribute to a greater competitiveness of the forestry sector in the terms of social responsibility, economic effectiveness, and environmental friendly forest management. At the end of the year 2017, an important milestone was reached through the introduction of web-based information system named Moj gozdar. Moj gozdar offers support in the search for forestry services. At the moment, it incorporates forestry contractors registered for performing forestry services, which have been priorly legally checked by forestry inspection. So The system incorporates over 1,600 forestry contractors offering various forestry services. It's publicly accessible and free to use without any fees. By registering with the Moigosdar web system, users became members who may access to the system's functionalities. The potential users are forest owners or managers of forests and other wooded areas, or who wish to get information from forest contractors or to collect offers for the selected services. Users can use a search engine which offers to filter to desired forest services, to select to go to only to selected region, or just simply to search forest contractor based on the organization name. The first result after filtering is a list of forest contractors that fulfill the filtering requirements. However, if we wish to act more local or pick a local contractor, it's possible also to choose from interactive map. The Moigosdar users have the possibility to access the contractors' profiles and data correlated with them. The programmed profile is a minimalistic, showing only the principal public accessible information. However, the contractors have the possibility to publish their references, additional descriptions, pictures, additional contact informations, or link to their other business-related web services. The moment the Moigosdar system comprises a three-level sustainability assessment of contractors in a simple, transparent, and objective manner. On the first level, all involved forestry contractors get a formal suitability assessment following the traffic light principle. In the second stage, the forest contractors are evaluated by an independent forestry counselor. Independent professional assessment main focus is sustainable forest management and achievement of higher standards in the social, economic, and environmental aspects. And last but not least, there's a third level of assessment, which is intended for the customers to present their experiences about provided service quality. So in first level of assessment, this assessment is entirely automatic. It is based on the publicly available data sources from inspection, tax office, business register of Slovenia. And based on this data, we denote contractors to three groups, where green light denotes that contractor fulfilled all the requirements. Yellow light denotes that companies, these are companies on which there is no official record kept by forestry inspection, so they have not been priorly inspected. And red light is a warning sign that contractor has some kind of a problems, has been prohibited by official order for carrying out at least one of the registered forestry services. So in the second part, So in the second part, the methodology of conferring independent professional rating. There's a second level. This is this professional assessment. All contractors who were rated as suitable in the first level can take part. For example, those who have received a red light in the automatic assessment are not able to continue with second level. Based on the survey and the workshops with the stakeholder representatives, the project team proposed principles, criteria, and indicators. Experts from the leading Slovenian forestry organization were invited to participate. And the result of the coordination with the stakeholder was this presented list of the indicators that forestry contractors shall reach. In the second round of workshops, an extended group of stakeholders representatives set measures for each of the principal criteria and indicators based on the multi-criteria decision-making methods. And the sum of the measures, the points that the contractor can collect, denote a composite assessment, which is conferred according to the principle of categorizing the accommodation facilities, which is more known with the hotels, like a 5-star ranking. This combined only that here in Möglichkeiten we have like 5 cons. The combined assessment is presented later in the public accessible profile of contractor. So then there's the last level. Experiences and opinions concerning the quality of the carried out service can also be collected by or reported by Möglichkeiten users or forest contractors' customers. The average rating obtained from the users is published in the contractor's profile. The assessment is possible with the use of the online questionnaire. We believe that the assessment of the user satisfaction is, together with the independent professional assessment, crucial for a substantial selection of forestry contractor, and is a vital information that can tell the contractor seeker most about an individual legal entity. Now we have a follow-up project. I will present just shortly a project that was selected for funding through a public tender for measures 16 cooperation. This is a European Innovation Partnership project, which began last year and will last for 3 years. Some of you maybe know this European Innovation Partnership project as an operational groups project. So here we work with farmers and councillors and forest contractors. The main expected results of these projects are: we would like to upgrade the online information system Möglichkeiten to establish modern information and communication flows, and thus reduce the time required for information flow. We are also developing an online tool for data collection that will support forest estate management plan preparation and gather information in the field or directly from the actors involved in the production chain. Last but not least, we are developing an online bulletin board where owners could market more valuable timber or look for long-term contracts with buyers of timber assortment in the event of larger quantities. The first tasks of the projects are already underway. The current situation does not allow us to work with the partnerships as we initially imagined, but we remain optimistic and do not change the course of the work content for the time being. In the first step, we will conduct an inventory of the data on forest holdings, forest infrastructure, and other data available data on the agriculture holdings. Thus, the first phase of optimization of information and communication channels has already started. And as a first result, we will offer the collected data in one place where forest owner will have a possibility to review the data, to further use and edit data in other tools or functionalities of the system Möglichkeiten.
Mateusz, I have to stop you here. It's,
sorry, Roland. Thank you.
Because you introduced the second project. Okay.
Yes, it's been a very short time. For those who are more interested in the system for quality assessment, you can look at our recently published paper, or feel free to ask me or contact me via email. Thank you. Sorry, Roland.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So one more before we start the question and answers, so that you can ask through the chat function. And this third presentation is a rather young project or initiative called Neo-Silvac, from France, which represents a kind of online sales platform that links forest owners closely to the roundwood market in a quite innovative and novel way. And I would like to ask the French expert, Mr. Tristan Perrier, to give us more details on this platform.
Yes, hello everyone. So Neo-Silvac is indeed a digital wood sales platform. So it is basically centered for joint sellings in auctions and for standing timber. So the project is rather young. It started in 2017, and so in the call for proposal, innovation and investment for upstream forestry. So Cabinet Couder, which I'm part of as forest engineer, is the project leader. For Austrian people, we help expertise the Neuhaus forest. You may know about it, big forest. So in Austria. So we had some partners during this project. So the auction market, a group of interest for public group of interest, that is the one who developed a platform, and he guarantees the safety and privacy of the data that could be put on the platforms, and the private forestry organization, as well as the forestry school. So what is Neo-Silvac? Actually, it's two things, Silvatrade and Silvaction. So the starting point was buyers usually, well, it's quite often that they have a hard time finding standing timber sales. They don't, so they can't assess the value, and that results in badly sold trees, timber, because they can't put a good price on it if they haven't seen it. Usually they can also have only partial information. The second buyer part is buyers should be present during the auction so as to buy. And so that was a hurdle that had to be overcome. Next is another part that is forest owners. Timber income is the driver for forest management. And if the price is too low, then they will lose interest. So the projects aimed at really put the wood sales systems more dynamic and to digitize everything from the start, from the wood in the forest until it goes in the sawmill. So for this, over the 3 years, so many things have been done. Silvatrade so is a computerized wood auction system, so that enables to have both present sales, so people in a room have tablets where they can put their offers, but you can also have online trade with a live platform where you can put your offers online, or in case you really can't be present at that time, you can just put your offers before. So Silvatrade includes different parts, but it really helps overcome the lot of paperwork that should be done before and after the trade, such as the deposit management, the withdrawal price management. Also, if the withdrawal price is not met, then the timber is automatically removed from the sales. And so the price comparison, the different offers are automatically compared. So it really helps to get a more fluid sale auction. All the back office management is also done with the Silvatrade, such as contract editing and technical specification. And at the end of the sale, the summary is automatically done. So Silvatrade is nearly complete. It's 95% complete. There is just few things to add. And then we have Silvaction, that is a digital GIS platform for data sharing. The problems that we had was that all forest managers usually don't share all their informations, especially on sales, but this is a very important information to have some statistics, for instance, either for forest buyers or for forest managers, for forest owners. So then the issue this Silvaction tackles is sharing of information, so that the price would be known for everyone. So at the end of each Silvatrade auction, the data are put back to Silvaction, and this is Silvaction is accessible to anyone who wants it. So there is, for instance, the wood price market and so on. Silvaction is also made so that you could have automated map and access in your sale document, so that you could always know where to go if you for wood buyers. So it's a tool that helps for transparency of all the data during the sales, and so it integrates all the new technologies, such as, well, internet is not a new technology, but tablets and so on, so that a sale can be done with multiple actors, people in a room, people outside, and all with a continuous connection check, so that because there is a countdown, and so that anyone wouldn't be displeased because of the time, because they had a lot problem in connection. There is also connection management. So this really helps to optimize the sales system, and because of that, it can help to increase mobilization. Buyers won't get discouraged by unsold wood timber, and wood buyers will always find the products where they are, so they will be able to put a good price on it. Actually, we've already had 6 sales, and the results are we have about 15% more buyers present at the sales, for a result of 10% more volume sold during the sale. That is this 10% that don't have to be done afterwards with a specific contract. So this platform will be open to any structures, and it will connect to other existing platforms such as Data and Transport, which are platforms where there are some data about wood prices and so on. So everything will be connected. So yeah, the tool really enables to get a more fluid sales and sharing of information with sale reports, timber price reports and documents, and all those tools will be published on the platform Neo-Silvac. So actually, so far, the Silvaction part is not yet complete. It's still in development. We had a bit of, we are a bit late because of COVID, but Silvatrade was really useful during this period of COVID, where it was hard to go to one room and to the auction room. So thank you for your attention, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Tristan, for this explanation on Neo-Silvac. So let's start with the questions and answers. I see we don't have so many questions, but I will start with Pertu, a question to you. As I understood that your solution, you're a global acting company, and I would say possibly also on industrial scale. So my question would be, who is your ideal client actually for your system? Oh, Pertu, is Pertu still here? Okay, okay, not available. Okay. Then for Mateusz, there is a question from the audience. And it says, when small forest owners with little knowledge on forestry have to evaluate the work of contractors. So do you or did you experience issues with regard to a fair judgment, because a layman has to judge the work of a professional? So is there other issues regarding fair judgment of the work quality? And did this lead to trouble yet? So the question for conflict resolution is obvious here. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We had some issues. First, the idea of the questionnaire, why to evaluate by questionnaire, is to somehow objectivize the otherwise subjective assessment. There's 4 categories on which they can evaluate, like was the arrangement clear, how quality was the performance of the work, what's the condition of the stand after the works, was there how was it with the payment, etc. So there was some strange, let's say, strange assessment, and the contractors always have a possibility to report strange assessment, and then we start to investigate. And if the forest owner agrees to give additional informations on which we can decide either is it a real assessment or is it fair judgment or not. If the forest owner or the user that added the judgment does not cooperate anymore, then if there is something strange, we remove those ratings.
Okay, so that means, because my question would be, who is operating the system and who guarantees this objectivity? Yeah.
The system administrator is Slovenian Forestry Institute. We are somehow like an independent institution between representing both forest owners and forest contractors as a partly governmental institution. So actually, I think we had only one such case. There was a forest contractors, and there was some user who wrote like a very bad assessment and wrote, "This guy lies." And after we asked, okay, please explain more, a little bit more, he didn't want to cooperate. So we simply remove his judgment because we could not be sure that's fair judgment.
Final question to you. Do you have data on a number of users or access to the website? So is it
not fresh
active?
one, but oh, now you catch me. I think it's in the publication which I wrote down. Year ago it was more than 400 users. But I don't have really fresh. We have I think we have the number of rates is going higher and higher. We are really trying to push forest contractor to use this tool as an information communication tool, to be responsive to the owners asking for their service offers, and to ask their customers for ratings. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Then we have a question regarding Neo-Silvac to Tristan. So the question is Neo-Silvac already available and running in the market, or is it under construction?
The Neo-Silvac as a global solution is not yet ready, but Silvatrade is. So actually the Silvatrade part, we already had, as I said, 6 trades with a lot of different experts from all over France. During the quarantine, we could continue to sell standing timber through that. So it works, and this was already done.
Mm-hmm. Now my question is, how do you reach out to forest owners to participate in this system?
Actually, this is already made. So it's for usually forest owners have already their forest manager, and it's the forest manager that we try to really reach. And they can give back to give access and give the information to their forest owners that this exists and that they can check the wood prices and so on. But so far is mostly people we already have in management in either expert, because it's the starting point was the expert auction sales. So we have already organized auction sales in France made by all the experts. And so it's more like numerization, digitizing those sales that were only in the room and all buyers had to come. Also, it was like all buyers and forest owners came, and it was like a solution to avoid people to come.
Okay. Okay. So thank you. Thank you, Tristan.
You're welcome.
So we will have now a short break until, let's say, let's have a 5-minute break before we continue with the second part of the presentations. Okay, thank you. Okay, so hello again. I hope you could use the small break for the important things. Let's continue with a completely different topic. It's about Earth observation and what is state of the art, what is possible nowadays with respect to near real-time detection and also change detection in the forest. And I'm really happy that Tero, that you took your time to give us a state-of-the-art introduction on Earth observation and on explain what a microsite satellite could be. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Roland, for the introductions, and good afternoon, everybody. Very pleased to meet you all here online for this important topic of the forest development, and will be your eye in the sky, and I'll bring you up to speed with some use cases and potential use cases with forest monitoring, as well as with some other ideas which might be helpful in analyzing this one. So first of all, what is ICE-Eye? ICE-Eye is a Finnish micro SAR satellite company, and micro means a small satellite and SAR means synthetic aperture radar. So in this case, it's not search and rescue, but it's synthetic aperture radar. So we provide services which are conducted through our satellite constellation. We are the first one in the world. We started this service in 2018. The company has been working for several years already. We are the European new space leader with close to 250 people already for 40 nationalities, and we have secured 150 million of funding for our launch program. We have headquarters in Finland and subsidiaries in Poland, the US and UK, and we are the world leader in synthetic aperture radar miniaturization technology. And we already have an existing portfolio of international customers. Here is the story in short. So as described, we started already a couple of years ago, just like an idea as a spin-off from the Aalto University here in Finland. And the first customers were introduced in 2016. And now we are going on a mission where we already have launched 10 satellites up to date. So what is the benefit of SAR image? It is the fact that with the SAR image, you can see through clouds and through darkness. So whether it's day or night, whether it's cloudy or rainy or snowing, the SAR images are always available. This is especially good in the Northern Hemisphere where you have lots of clouds and lots of darkness as well. So this image shows you that on an optical image, you can see on the left side only clouds, but on the right side, you see quite nicely a topography of the same area. Just a couple of years ago, this was considered as not being possible because SAR images or the SAR technology itself is like nothing new, but its use in the microsatellites is something very new. And the benefit for that is that the microsatellites are running very fast. They go around the globe in 90 minutes compared to some older and heavier satellites. Perhaps they go around the globe and much higher in a way that you can only get one image from one area, like within a period of 5 days or 10 days. But with us, you can get images from the same spot already many times per day. And the idea for the synthetic aperture radar, to simplify it, is measuring the time of data going from the satellite to the surface of the Earth and then getting back to the satellite. So that's how the radar works. And from this information, we then produce an image. So the mission is to enable better decision making, and how we do that by providing timely and reliable and persistent monitoring Earth observation data. In 2018, the concept was demonstrated with 600 images, and then again, we are already running with the figures of more than 10,000 images with the first satellites, which are still in service. And the expectation is that within like the next year and a half, the number will be doubled. So the past year was a doubling year for us. We doubled the number of our satellites, we doubled the number of our employees, and also increased revenues quite nicely. So the microsatellite system enables us to always provide the best available generation and the new generation satellites. This is a very recent picture from the most recent launch where we put up 3 new satellites with SpaceX Falcon 9, and our satellites are one of the boxes here in the rocket, whereas the whole rocket included more than 100 satellites, but ISI had 3 satellites on its payload. Okay, that's the background. So what about forest monitoring? First of all, how can you use the images? You can distinguish between areas which are forest or non-forest to do some mapping and measurements. You can do change detection over certain periods of time in areas for deforestation, forest degradation, regrowth, and forest thinning, and also obviously in areas where you have forest damages, for instance, due to snow or some other natural events. Furthermore, you can conclude infrastructure monitoring, and you can do wildfire monitoring, to name a few examples. So for instance, here, you can see that from this image, which is called the strip map image, you see the here on the left bottom side, that this is a strip map image, and the strip map image is usually taken from an area which is 30 times 50 kilometers. So it gives you opportunities with analytics to analyze where you have agricultural areas, forest areas, and how the forest area develops if you take images within certain periods of time from the same area. Another opportunity is to change detection. So here you see areas where you have clear costs, and again agricultural areas, and this is again a strip map image where you see that on a certain area there has been work which has been conducted, and you can do measurements on this based on these types of images. Again, similar type of analysis here with a strip map mode with images showing you the clear costs. This is from Idaho, and there you can see, for instance, how there are different types of paths within the forest area. You can also see how the rivers develop within the area, and you can also have a look into the forest work within these boxes. And this is again a strip map mode image. Further on, infrastructures. Here is an example of taking advantage of the images, how power lines are. And as you recall, this strip map image comes from an area of 30 times 50 kilometers. And wherever you want, whenever you want a more higher resolution for the image going down to 0.25 to 0.5 meters, you can use our spotlight image on a smaller area of 5 times 5 kilometers, where you can actually see even individual trees on that one. And here is an example of looking into like the power line developments and how the power lines go within the forest areas. Another example here, considering a power station, and you can do surveillance of infrastructural areas like power stations. Change detection in the river activity. So this gives you an idea with the forest and how it has been developing in this river area, and how this river has affected the area with the forest in here. We work in collaboration with many organizations, including the European Space Agency, KSAT, and URSA, to name a few examples in here. And I'd be happy to discuss these thoughts and ideas further with you. My contact details are in here, and those can be distributed through the organizers. So thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to pursuing these opportunities together with you. Thank you, Roland.
Thank you, Tero, right on spot, timely. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
So let's continue with another best practice. It's called KWH 4.0, a novel research-oriented competence center for digital solutions in the forest sector. I call it myself as an open innovation laboratory for the forest. But Mr. Frank Heinze will enlighten us what this competence center actually does and what opportunities it creates. So Frank, please, your presentation.
Okay, can you give me the rights to start my video that you want to see my face, or? Okay, good. Now it's starting. Okay. So you can see my presentation?
Yes, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Roland, for the introduction, and thank you for the possibility to present today. Hello, my name is Frank Heinze from the RIF Institute for Research and Transfer in Dortmund. Currently, I'm coordinating the infrastructure project Kompetenzzentrum Wald und Holz 4.0 in German, or in English, Center of Excellence for Forestry 4.0. It's my pleasure to give you an overview of the different types of infrastructure we are actually providing. The start slide gives a first impression of the different types of data that occur in the forest sector. How can methods of Forestry 4.0 make use of the data? We will start with a short overview of the Center of Excellence for Forestry 4.0 and then move onward to the base technology for Forestry 4.0. Afterwards, we will see some application, and finally, I will give a short overview of our current online events. So the aim of the Center of Excellence for Forestry 4.0 is to help introduce methods of Industry 4.0 to the forest sector. Project partners for the Center of Excellence for Forestry 4.0 are the 3 institutes from the Aachen University that are focused on human work, digital twins, and Industry 4.0. Then the Center of Forest and Timber in Arnsberg-Neheim is forest sector know-how provider, and the RIF Institute for Research and Transfer in Dortmund as project coordinator. What is the Center of Excellence for Forestry 4.0 doing exactly? Let's start at the top. So, first step is to evaluate different technologies for their potential to be used in Forestry 4.0. Based on the evaluation, we develop concepts and implement the concepts in Forestry 4.0 infrastructure. One example is a smart system service infrastructure we will see later on. Another example of an infrastructure we are providing are the smart forest labs, which I will also show you in more detail in the application section of my talk. With our industrial partners, we implement Forestry 4.0 concepts in practical projects. The results are published in the implementation strategy, which you can download for free from our website. But currently, there's only a German version, sorry for that. For special technical topics, we also publish white papers, also currently in German. We offer consulting and present aspects of Forestry 4.0 in an online seminar that's called KWH 4.0 Academy. So we work together with different industrial and academic partners. Here are some of our industrial partners. They come from basically every step of the value chain of the forest and timber sector. So let's have a look at the technological base, and let's start at the bottom. There are a lot of physical assets in the forest, like forest workers, machines, forest units, sensors, and so on. Most have no connection to the digital world. So let's add a digital twin for each asset and combine digital twin and asset to a component. Digital twin are virtual representations of physical assets. You can call this a cyber-physical system if you like. Now you can connect the assets to the digital world. We can now add software services and also human-machine interfaces like apps or desktop applications in order to control these applications. The idea is to come up with new and improved solutions for things like harvesting, rescue chain, forest management, forest information, wood mobilization, and so on. But how do the digital twins, human-machine interfaces, how do they find communication partners and services? How can we be sure that we are talking to the correct partner? We need a communication system to do so. The system we are using to solve this problem is called Smart System Service Infrastructure. One part of it is basically a kind of a phone book to actually find a valid communication partner. The communication itself can take place directly with the partner via a cloud system, as you like, basically. We are using this system to build up a series of so-called smart forest labs. The smart forest labs are an infrastructure the Center of Excellence of Forestry 4.0 is providing to test and experiment with the Forestry 4.0 approach. There are 3 types of forest labs: real, gamified, and virtual smart forest labs. I will give a short example for each of them in the following. In the real Smart Forest Labs, we focus on real machines and real people. An example is the concept to digitally support the forest worker so that he becomes a smart forest worker. The information is provided from the digital twin of the forest and is then presented to the forest worker via the human-machine interface of an app on a smartphone. Information includes a recommendation of how to fell a tree, whether to use a mini skidder or a rope, and a rope or a felling wedge. In the case of a recommendation of the rope, then the ad provides the information at what height to put the rope. This shows not only machines, but also people can profit from the technologies of Forestry 4.0. The gamified Smart Forest Lab is a model of a real forest with the roads and skid trails. The type and position of the trees matches the real trees of a forest stand near Arnsberg in North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany. We added models of machines. Each of the machine models contains a small computer with its digital twin. We can connect these digital twins via real communication hardware with other digital twins, with services and human-machine interfaces. The idea is to try out Forestry 4.0 concepts in a model you can actually touch and play around with. One application here is, for example, a test of the drivability of skid roads depending on sensor data. The virtual Smart Forest Lab is also a way to try to test concepts and technology. But now we are completely in the virtual world. We see here an emulation of a harvester on the right and an emulation of a forwarder on the left. Both can connect to the communication system and exchange data. The data can also be visualized by someone who's controlling the current progress of a felling job. On the left, you see the position of the machines in the forest, and on the right, you can get information on the state of the machines and on the current state of the felling job. The emulated machines can connect to digital twins like real machines, so that you can actually test all concepts in the virtual world before you go on to the real world. For example, the harvester on the right side produces new logs and transfers this information to the forwarder. There are already solutions for this problem if harvester and forwarder are from the same manufacturer, but what we try to find solutions also for scenarios where the machines come from different manufacturers. Oops. So we are trying to make knowledge easily available by an online series format called KWH 4.0 Academy. We started out last summer with online seminars on Smart Forest Labs and the Smart System Service Infrastructure. We had more general introduction seminars and specialized technical workshops. Currently, we are presenting a seminar series concerning data standards in Forestry 4.0. And if you're interested, you can join us next week for a presentation of Stand for D for production data. You can register free at our website. Well, presentations are in German though. Okay, well, basically this is it. So finally, let us make Forestry 4.0 become reality together now. The Center of Excellence can give support by developing and documenting basic technologies like the digital twin, support implementation and provide development and test environments like the smart service, the Smart Forest Labs. Okay, thank you for your attention and thank you to our sponsors, the European Union and the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And now back to Roland. I hope I stayed in my time range.
Perfect, Frank. Thanks a lot for this overview on the Competence Center for Excellence in North Rhine-Westphalia. So one more presentation, and we started in the sky, then we continued on the ground, and now we do another switch, and this time it's about e-learning and how is this possible with respect to forest education. And here I would like to welcome, I'm fighting with my notes actually. Here I would like to welcome Björn from Skogskorps, And I would like to ask you to introduce us with the Forest Extension Institute and how you make use of digital technologies in forest education.
Yes, thank you. As said, my name is Bjørn Helge Bjørnstad. I'm working at the Forest Extension Institute here in Norway as a project coordinator. And I'm going to try to explain a bit about the long life learning and how can we support or develop the competence of our workforce, and how to do this in companionship between a number of organizations. Firstly, I will say that here at Skogkurs, we have a number of member organizations. We are a sort of an NGO that have members from the forest owners associations, from the scientific institutions, from a number of organizations in the whole value chain of the forestry, mostly at the forest part of it, not much in the industry part of it. So that is our background, so to say. And I also like to say that we are absolutely not the single one working with forest competence, but what our specialty is to combine technology, pedagogy, and forest competences. And to say that to merge this and use a number of users and use the thinking of user anchorage is really important for us. And as our logo says, we are living here in the mix or in between these big circles. There is our role, our main role. We also can say that we are taking part of a number of networks and projects. And our main aim here is to find what is the last knowledge, where is the last knowledge developed.
You're stuck.
Am I stuck?
Okay.
Okay.
Bjørn,
then
we lost you for a few seconds.
Okay.
Yes, and I.
Hello?
Yes, exactly. I would ask you to turn on the presentation to share your screen. Yeah.
Yes, I did, but then it's something. You see my screen again now?
We see it now for the first time.
Okay, then it's some challenges here because I shared it, but yeah. As I said, we have a number of organizations as members. And what we say is that we need to merge these different fields with technology, pedagogy, and forest competences. And in combination with the user interface, user anchorage is really important for us. And our logo is here in between, and it's this sector that we are working really. As I started to say also that we are taking part in a number of networks and projects, and that's important for us, both nationally and internationally, to pick up the last knowledge that are relevant for our work and how to spread it. A number of these projects are going on always, so it's important for us to see where we are going in the future. And as I shortly mentioned, we are working mostly in the forest part of the value chain, from, of course, planting or regeneration to harvesting and all sort of activities between that. So how to manage this? We have then started up a structure called the Forest School, or Skogskolen in Norwegian. That's a common e-learning platform based on an international e-learning tool called Moodle Workplace. That is the background of the discussion. But what is important for us when we have started this work is to say that there is a number of organizations really competing with each other out in the market. All these organizations seen here at the top, or some of them, including ourselves, are partners in the project. And that means that they have established a steering committee, and we in Skogkurs as a coordinator, we are developing a number of e-learning courses. And these e-learning courses on many topics might be combined with also practical out in the field activities, of course. But what is important here is that all these organizations are agreed that the field of competence is not the field of competition. They are combining and coordinating their work with the competence and say that this we need to develop together to be better. All these courses are then developed in the Norwegian language, and as in many other countries, the language to some of the workforce at least are in many different languages. So we are going via English to a number of foreign languages for us. And then these are done in a number of different e-learning courses like planting, youngstand treatment, soil preparations, and so on and so on. So these are done in cooperation between all these partners, not in competition. What we say also is that each organization, though, have their own room or their own tenant in the structure. That means that they, of course, have all the basic forest-related courses together, but at the same time, they have possibilities to develop their own specific courses that are related to their organization and their way to work on. And each of these organizations manage their own users. That means that their own users and the knowledge they have about their own users are just for that organization. Other organizations that are competing in the market with them does not necessarily see or does not see what the other organization has to do with the users. Just we at the Forest Extension Institute really see all the picture. And for us, this is really of importance when you're dealing with competence management in the workforce. And that is also both in the practical workforce, but also the workforce or the competence in the more theoretic part of the organization or the office parts, so to say. And these structures then are integrated with each organization's CRM, HR systems, so they can use this to deal with the competence management. So they have both the separate structures and the common structures within the same e-learning structure that we have developed here with this Moodle as a platform. Yeah, I think that was the short version of what I should say about the common cooperation within this field. Yep, thank you. Sorry that it was a miss here in the start of the showing of the presentation. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Björn.
Thanks.
That was quite a short presentation, but thanks. Let's move on to question and answers. There were already a number of questions regarding eyesight to Tero. Perhaps Tero, you can a bit repeat. There was the question about the costs per image. Perhaps you can just talk a bit about this question.
Yes, thank you very much for the question, first of all, which was addressed on the chat channel. So the question was considering a potential free data available in the market and what would be the cost of the eyesight data. So first of all, yes, as we are aware, there is some free images available through various types of funding mechanisms, whereas, for instance, the European Space Agency Copernicus contributing mission and some others can be used for that, which are mainly for research purposes, and you have to go through certain type of criteria in order to be able to use those services with free of charge. Then eyesight data is available first of all from our archive images. We have 18,000 images available through our website for free as samples. So that is one option to have a look into the availabilities. And then on like commercial basis, the price level depends on the image type as well as the amount of images and captures required. The basic products include the spotlight, which is 5 times 5 kilometers, the strip map, which is from 30 to 50 to 30 to 250 kilometers, and ScanSAR, which is 100 to 150 kilometers, and all of them have a great resolution, whereas Spotlight has a resolution of less than 5 meters, and the other ones from 1 to 3 meters. A price per image is either a 3-digit number or a 4-digit number, where obviously then the first number is 1 if it's a 4-digit number, and the more use there is required, the less the price per image is. So this is how the structure works.
Okay, one more question from my, well, let me check if there are other questions to you. Yeah, one more question from my side. So you are providing this data, but of course to extract the information that is required, this has to be done by the customer.
Indeed, a great question. So as we're aware, an image provides you information as long as the image provides, and there are different opportunities for analytics. So we are working on interferometry, and our own interferometry product is expected to be launched to the market within the next couple of months. So that is also something for the forest industry. Different types of analytics can be conducted through ICE services, but we are for the moment mainly focusing on natural disasters, i.e. flooding and some other types of natural disasters. We do have partners for analytics. For instance, we work in collaboration with the Finnish consortium and with Bitcomp, who is going to provide a presentation later on today. So we do have opportunities either for direct analytics or especially through do that with our partners.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Then let's move on to a question to Frank Heinze. My question would be, it looks very research oriented, what you're doing, which is fine because you're allowed to think freely and experiment and demonstrate concepts and solutions. But do you also have kind of exploitation department where you actively move forward with your research and your, let's say, demonstrators towards a market?
Well, we have industrial partners, and we are setting up projects with them to actually try out the technology. And it took us a good time of the last year to have like interfaces for basically all different partners, and the actually practical projects are kind of starting right now at the moment. So maybe the thing that is the most advanced is the concept of the smart forest worker, where we also have an app, but it's currently it's not in a state that we can sell it right now. So we are actually trying out what are the limits of this app currently.
Okay,
yes.
okay. So where do you see your competence center in 5 years? You know, it's a classic question, but
yes. Basically, we think that what we need, especially in Germany, is like someone who actually connects people and who can actually consult people for technologies concerning Industry 4.0. So this should be maybe our business model in 5 years. So if all kinds of actors in the forest and wood sector come to us, and we can help them to actually implement technologies, that'll be basically the outlook. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Then we have also a question to Björn. Oh, there is another question to you, Frank. The question is, KWH 4.0, is it your goal to sell products or solutions, or do you stay non-profit?
Basically, as we are trying to work together with a lot of players in the market, it will obviously be difficult to actually sell products, but we kind of trying to figure out if we can actually like sell access to this communication infrastructure we developed. Yeah. So it's it's a yes and no answer here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then let's move to Björn. There is one question to you, Björn. Are you having plans to reach out or extend to higher academic institution levels with your platform?
I would say not directly, because the higher institutions have their own platforms working. But of course, we are cooperating with them, and they are also our members. So the same knowledge, or the knowledge transferred to their perspectives, are also in our mind, of course. And we are doing a number of classes regarding the same topics for the students in different higher education institutions. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then a second question I popped up. So the question is, do you only manage the platform, this Moodle-based platform, or do you also develop e-learning content for, let's say, the organizations that you're hosting?
We do both. That means that we are managing the platform as well as we take part in the development, because the development has the anchorage in each organization that are taking part, both the common parts, but as well as the single parts that are been done in each tenant or in each organization. So we support the development in all ways. Yep.
Do you charge costs, or how is your work financed?
The organizations that are taking part are financing the work, so to say. Of course, there are possibilities with some funding from different forest funds for common work. So some of the funding is coming there, but most of the funding is coming from the partners, as well as a course fee from the participants.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Björn. Okay, then let's continue with the final round of presentations. And here I would like to welcome Mr. Benedikt Pointner with his Woods app solution, The Forest in Your Pocket. It's developed by Bitcomp, was already mentioned by Tero. And Benedikt, I would like to ask you to present your management platform, respectively your Woods app application.
So you can see my screen now, and you can hear my voice?
Yes, perfect, thanks.
Very good. So good afternoon to everybody, also from my side. So my name is Benedikt Pointner. I'm the managing director of Bitcomp in Munich, in Germany. And I'm happy to introduce you now our new product, Woods app. But first,
Benedikt, we cannot see the presentation.
You cannot see the presentation. It's interesting because it seems to be presenting from my side. Can you see it now? So I stopped presenting and started again.
No, we're still. Yes, now it's there. Thanks.
Now you can see
Great.
it. So sorry for that. So I would like to start with introducing the company briefly. So Bitcomp Group. We are experts in the bioeconomic field. So many of us are foresters, GIS experts and software engineers. And so we in Germany, we work very closely with Bitcomp OI in Finland and in Poland. And what makes us stand out? So we have a very unique way of combining satellite data, artificial intelligence methods, cloud computing, and we try to bring everything together on also on mobile devices, mobile solutions. That's challenging because they have to be very simple. And the goals and the tools allow accurate, efficient, and transparent management of natural resources. So this is our goal. And what motivates us? So all of you know what is going on in forestry. So forestry is changing fundamentally at the moment. So climate change influences everything in forestry. So the outlook, the appearance of forests change at the moment, and caused by drought periods, storms, which have massive influence into in forest management and in the appearance of forest, what we see today. And we still have a 10-year planning cycle. And from our point of view, this is really hard at the moment to rely on this 10 years planning cycle because of the influences which are not calculated, which can't be calculated. So it's very ongoing what we see in forestry here, and everybody talks about COVID and that sort of things, but nobody talks about the critical situation of forestry we see here. So it's very critical. Still, we have monocultures out which must be transformed into stable, species-rich stands. That's also a big task at the moment for foresters. And of course, the legal situation is changing here in Germany in particular. So we see that governmental organizations have to be less active in managing private forest areas. So in the consequence, so private forest organizations have to be more professional and have to take more responsibilities on managing the private forest areas. And there is also a fact in Germany, and I'm very sure also in the rest of Europe. So we see there is an increasing number of urban forest owners. There is a number here in Germany. As we know, there are over 80,000 forest areas inherited every year here in Germany, 80,000. There's a big number of it, and a big part of it of new forest owners which live in cities and have no relationship to their property, no idea how to manage a forest. So our goal is to connect them with professionals, with professional organizations, private forest organizations who help them to manage their forest in a very sustainable way. So we are very sure that we need efficient digital tools to improve forest management. And we focus on private forest owners and private forest associations. So this is our market we focus on. So how do we approach this? So in the core of WhatsApp, we have a very simple rule. We start everything with satellite data from ESA, which are highly frequent available. That's very good. And as we have already heard, we also start working with ICE-Eye, very impressive data they provide, also on an extremely high frequent manner. That's very impressive. So we process the data. So we take care of processing the data. We use the cloud technology here, and we already start machine learning methods to implement together with ESA. This is interesting because that helps us to improve the service quality and the data quality over the next weeks, months, and years. So that's a process we just started, and we are very curious to see what what will be the outcome in the next weeks or months. So we will see some interesting results. And so the product is characterized by very simple applications. And it's also a fact that I'm not very sure, but the average age of a forest owner here in Germany is roughly about 60 years or so. So how do we reach these people? How do we motivate them to work with an app? So it must be very simple, very easy. And also the results must be very simple to handle and to understand. And that's what we do that via mobile devices and via web apps. So here you see now a small insight into the results. Here on the bottom, you see a map showing the vitality of forests in North Rhine-Westphalia, for example. And you also see the polygons, so representing the properties, the parcels owned by foresters who are connected to the forest association here. So the service detects the vitality of the trees. That's very interesting because we can see this critical situation starting very soon. So we can be before a bark beetle appears, and we can provide this information within weeks or so. That's very, very precise. And so just imagine, as a forest association, if you see such maps first time, you understand the power you have in hand then first. And situational awareness is now to be seen, which has never been available before. And on the other hand, the forester has a very easy to use application, mobile app, where he finds his parcels, he sees the vitality, aerial image. So that's also part of the Woods app product stack. And on the bottom here, for example, you see the result of change detection services. That could be, for example, infected stands, infected by a storm, which happened last week or so. It could also be a snow damage, that sort of things. A very critical challenge for forest associations is communication. So that's part of the Woods app product. So forest associations can communicate to the foresters or to certain forester groups which certain interests, for example, on CO2 sink, vitality, hunting, economy, ecology, technology, or anyway, that sort of topics. So they don't spam the forest owners, but they can really decide to provide the information very precisely. And they also can provide the information to foresters in a certain region, a region affected by bark beetle or affected by a storm, and you inform them only these people who are affected. So it's not just spamming information, it's just providing information to the right people, at the right time, in the right region. That's important. And there's also a feedback channel from the forest owner to the forest association. So as a forest owner, you can go out into the forest, you use your smartphone, you locate your position, and you take a picture of a tree, of a stand, or any kind of situation. You take a picture or a video, whatever, and you send it back to the forest association. So it starts a bidirectional communication. And in the near future, we will have also a chat functionality. So that's very crucial. So the forest owners asked for that. So it's like in WhatsApp, Woods app will have a bidirectional chat channel also available. So what makes our product stand out? So as a summary, so new kind of data from satellite provide a current situation awareness of forest areas, which has never been available before, and they provide also fast and exact reaction on negative influences. So forest associations increase their service quality and act more efficient with more small private forest owners. So that's also the plan to motivate urban forest owners. And at the moment in Germany, we only have about 40% of the forest owners, not more than 40% connected to forest associations. So there is still a big potential. And this is exactly the market for the forest associations, but challenging. They have to communicate better and more precise as they can do it today. So the digital communication to individuals and groups reduces the workload. So that's something they're struggling with, but at the end we can say it reduces the way they can cooperate more efficient to forest owners. And urban forest owners will be motivated to let their forest manage in a professional way. That's clear. So we can see that as an urban forest owner, you get message what's going on in your forest, and you can be very relaxed because your forest is managed in a very professional way. And finally, thanks to digitalization, we enter into a continuous circular planning process, always considering the current situation. So that's a revolution for forestry and a revolution for private forest sector in particular. So that's it from my side. So thank you, Roland. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Benedikt, for the presentation. And now I would like to ask Martin Hoppen from the University of Aachen to also give a presentation on iWald, a concept and an application to reach out to forest owners. So Martin,
yeah, hi.
The stage is yours.
So I hope you can see my presentation.
Yes,
and you can hear me and you can see me. Hi. Yeah, welcome on my behalf from Aachen. Not in the forest as it might seem. I want to present or show you something on the research project eWald. It's not iWald. At least some of my colleagues insist on eWald. So my name is Martin Hoppen from the Institute for Man-Machine Interaction from RWTH Aachen University. Okay. Yeah, well, the idea of this eWald scenario is the development of an innovative forest development and service concept for optimizing sustainable forest management. So this is the title of our research project. The partners are the University of Applied Sciences, Weinstefan Triesdorf from Professor Röder, some of you might know, and the Kuratorium für Waldarbeit und Forsttechnik, the KWF here in Germany, and our institute from the University in Aachen and the Technical University in Munich from Professor Preetsch. And well, the idea of eWald is, I have to admit, similar to the Woods app idea. We want to bring together all these stakeholders and technologies and assets here. So we have on the one hand side the forest owners, we have different service providers, we have the forest of these forest owners, and we have modern technologies like simulation technology or remote sensing technology. And yeah, what Mr. Heinze presented, I don't know, half an hour ago, is this Forestry 4.0 approach we follow in this EVAD project as well. So the idea is we give such apps or different apps to the users, the forest owners, so a base app for just playing around with the system, and a professional app for really working with your own forest stands. And we give apps or develop apps for the service providers. And we provide all these technologies using software services, for example, for 3D rendering or for tree growth simulation based on the Silva tree growth simulator from TU Munich, or calculating tree species classification, or deriving stand attributes from remote sensing data, or rating the stands based on different criterion. And as we follow this Forestry 4.0 approach, we model these forest stands as digital twins of the forest. So we have these digital twins entities describing the forest that we're looking at, that we're talking about, and that we're interchanging here. And also presented by Mr. Heinze from the Forestry 4.0 approach, we use this S3I communication infrastructure he presented. So it was in parts co-developed in our EVAD project, in our federally funded EVAD project here. So we use these authentication approaches, the directory approach, the secure communication provided by this S3I infrastructure, which is based on standards and open source. And now we can use it to connect to the digital twins, although in our current scenario, they are stored on the apps themselves for security reasons. But we think about a cloud-based solution as well here. We can interchange these digital twins from the apps to the services to derive, for example, a tree growth simulation, or produce a 3D rendering of the scenario, or calculate a tree species classification. And we can communicate between the forest owners and the service providers and send them those forest stands as well, so they can have a look at it and tell us what to do with it. And just to give you a short look at the app, I have a video which I will. Okay, the app is in German, as you can see. This is just the disclaimer. So we have here, we have the login into this S3I account. The important part is here, this is a decentralized approach. So all your information stays your information. It is not stored in some cloud platform, but it is just encrypted. Now, when you interchange your data, it is encrypted between, for example, between the service providers and the forest owners, or the service providers and the services, and so on. We have a message interface here also based on the same communication infrastructure, and then you can create new stands here, describe your forest stand. And I speed this a little bit up. And then in the current version, you can add stand attributes manually. So give the information on tree species and number of stems and basal area. And what we'll add in the next version is to use this remote sensing service to derive this information from remote sensing data. And we're also planning a MOTI, an import interface to the MOTI app here. Based on the stand data, you can derive typical single trees. We also could calculate them or derive them from the remote sensing data. But typically the data is not that good everywhere. So typical stands are typical single trees tend to be the better option here. Then in this case, we were ordering such a rating of this stand, and now we configure a simulation run while we are waiting for the rating service to return the results. Speed this a little bit up. So we're doing a multifunctional approach here and say, okay, we are simulating 30 years. And so we prepared the simulation, and in the meantime, we got our results from the rating service. Okay, the current stand situation here is rated for biodiversity. So this is these eco labels, you know, from refrigerators we're using here. So the biodiversity level is not that good. The risk for calamities and things like that is not that high. It's good in terms of it's not high. The recreational value is average. Yeah, the yield on is currently not that good because we do not have any simulation data until now. But now we are running this multifunctional, for example, approach here on simulation, and send this job to the simulation server, and then we can receive these results. I'm going a little bit forward here, and then we can also order a rating for the simulation results. So we have the same ratings for the future scenario that came back from the silver-based simulation here. And we can also order here a 3D visualization of this stand to give the forest owner an impression of how the stand may look and how it may look in the future. Now you can here see the ratings of the future stand, and we have some images here, 3D images generated or synthetic images for this simulation run to give the forest owner some impression of how this stand may develop over time, over the span here of 30 years. And we can also compare these simulation results. And if you do different simulations, so okay, you can compare it to the initial state of the stand. So you see the risk level gets even better, and obviously here the yield gets better. And if you run different simulations here in this fast forward mode for a production oriented simulation, then if we just fast forward through this, we can also compare two simulation runs as well. And then you can see, okay, what's the difference here? Well, the CO2 levels might be a little bit better in one of the two scenarios. And you can also switch between the images here. Okay. So this is a short view on the, oh, okay, I closed the window. A short view on the system, but it was the last slide on our current developments here. This is still under development, and we're finishing this prototype currently. And we hope we can present it at the KWF KWF fair in the summer.
Okay, Martin, thank you. So then let's have a look at the questions that popped up. And there is a question to Benedict. And I have to scroll up one moment. Oh. It was regarding the with regard to private forest owners. So how many active users does your app have right now? And at which rate is this number progressing?
Okay.
So the user base, basically.
Yeah, we are still under development, so that's a fact. We are about to finish version 1.0 on Android, and we bring everything now on iOS, which takes another, from now on, I guess, 3-4 weeks. And then we start rolling out in North Rhine-Westphalia. At the moment, we have groups of testers in North Rhine-Westphalia, Bavaria, and we start in Thüringen, and some users in Austria. So we are just starting. It's at the very beginning. We have compiled the data already for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So we are ready also for other markets, of course, very soon.
But if, well, we had contact previously, and as far as I understood, you are looking for pilots, pilot organization. This, I think we should also emphasize. So you are very open to cooperation and to users, because you have a user-centric approach in the development of your application.
That's true. So we are open for pilots. So we have pilots in Germany. We're open for more pilots in Austria and of course in Switzerland. So I'm very happy if you have forest organizations in Switzerland who are open to test it and give us feedback. And there's also one person in the chat, Henry, who asked for cooperation in France. So that's very, very good. So we are open to pilots all over the place in Europe. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then, of course, also a question to Martin Hoppen from regarding this Ewald. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation.
No problem.
It looks quite a mighty, a powerful system, but and at the same time, then there is always the question for the complexity. So, are you targeting forest owners or are more experienced, let's say, advisors, forest advisors, with your application?
Sowohl als auch, we would say in German. I don't know the English term for this one. As well, the forest owners and the service providers. Obviously, processes within the app might get a little bit optimized. Still, it's under development in this research project. But the idea is to provide this to forest owners and service providers. So there will be a version for both.
Okay, and the current status of development. So are you looking also for pilot users, or how?
Yes, we are currently in the state for looking pilot users. We have some at hand, but if there are people, I must say the same as Mr. Pointner. If there is someone who wants to test it, we're open to new testers. And especially for the regions in North Rhine-Westphalia as well, the open data strategy, thanks to North Rhine-Westphalia, as we're also based on remote sensing data here. And North Rhine-Westphalia, Rhineland-Palatinate, and Bavaria are our three partner federal states here, which we're testing with and talking to, and what they expect from such an app. So we had different workshops with users from these three federal states to derive what they expect from such an app, from such a system.
Okay,
the requirements, more or less, yeah.
Okay, it's pretty late, I understand. Okay, so then I would conclude this this workshop. just some final comments. I think it was quite a mixed bag of best practices and innovations. Some are already established, some are new, and so on. It was chosen deliberately, I have to say, just to give this broad overview at the beginning. But I think there was a couple of overarching topics. One was the topic of data acquisition on stand level, on single tree level. So that the digital technologies are necessary to get better information, better data on single trees and on stands. We had the issue of transparency regarding, in many aspects actually, but also regarding this price information and also along the supply chain. And then we had this issue of situational awareness. I like this term very much because it's really a challenge to the forest actors that they have, that they get a third eye, let's say like this, the digital eye on the forests, on the forest properties, and this actually applies to forest owners as well as to intermediaries to improve advisory services and efficiently communicate with forest owners and react timely and to whatever events occur. For the presentations, for the live stream, etc., as I mentioned at the beginning, we will publish everything that we are allowed to publish. So we need the consent of the speakers. And also, of course, we will provide you with contact data, and we will make also a short summary on the questions and answer sessions so that you also can follow up on this issue. So many thanks for coming. It was our first live session within the project. As I mentioned, COVID prevents us to meet physically and to exchange on site the knowledge of practitioners. But we will continue with this online format in 2021, and we will keep you informed. So many thanks from the Wood Cluster Styria and the Central West Working Group of Rosewood 4.0. See you.